Good day, everyone. This is Dr. Francois du Toit, your naturopathic doctor and wellness coach. Today, I'm going to be talking about the connection between the mind, body, and the spirit. This exceptionally vast topic. And this is for all of you spiritual seekers out there that have been thinking about how to align yourself into a state of being where you can access higher states of consciousness, or even, as some of people have called it, altered states of consciousness. So sit back, relax, enjoy, think about all the things you want to expand in your life. If this video is coming in a time in your life when you're rushed and stressed, I feel you, I see you, and I endeavor to understand you. Maybe save this video for later when you can be in a space to really absorb what I'm about to say and deal and delve into. My journey towards understanding, if you can ever say you can ever understand this topic on this connection, is really rooted in the experiences I've had that led me to stress and burnout that I discussed in a previous YouTube video. Our lives is filled with the endless cycle of hustle and bustle, rush, stress, physical and mental burnout, emotional trauma, relationship-based trauma, failure, so much more. And I went through all of these things, as I'm sure you have in your life. And it led me into a spiral of anxiety where it was the only state of being, or the state of consciousness, that I knew to be in an anxious, anxiety-filled state of being. So my mind was literally grinding itself down to dust. And it was destroying me, and it was killing me slowly until I actually hit rock bottom more than once in my life, in a state of depression and panic attacks. And I suddenly had this perspective on life. What the hell am I doing? What am I actually living for? Why am I stressing about so many things, in particular what other people maybe think about me, when in fact it's impossible to know what other people think about you, and especially when I'm actually thinking about other people and not myself, in the sense of, what do I want to achieve in life? What makes me happy? What fills me with joy? What gives me a sense of purpose? And in essence, all of those feelings and all of those ambitions and all the career plans that I had brought me to a standing still point, a falling apart, a falling down a cliff point, and I literally collapsed. I collapsed on the floor. I started crying. And from that place, I said, I'm giving up everything. My ambitions, my career, the success I want to achieve, it's not working for me. And then I'm a Christian, so I tapped into asking God, God, please help me. But I also give up everything, all these different things. If you're not a Christian, you can insert the higher consciousness or power that you believe in, the name that you put onto the higher consciousness. And in that place, everything became completely still. And I felt a state of peace that I'd never felt in my entire human existence. It was so profound. It was so deep. It was so all-encompassing because of the way that I'd functioned up until now, up until that point, for 90% of my life, 80% of my life, that I had literally nothing to do. I had no motivation or strength to continue on, except that I knew that I discovered peace. And it was so awe-inspiring and so amazing that I did not know how to continue on, except that I felt that this is my new normal. I want to always be in a state of calm and peace and function from this place. From a hedonistic perspective, yes, because it also feels so good. But from a, let's say, a spiritual perspective, because I am aware my mind isn't eating me up, my mind is open to hear everything. I'm able to see more. I'm able to just be in the moment, be present, the gift that we've all been given, and enjoy this moment that we've all been given by, I believe, God's grace or by a higher design. And it's accessible for all of us. For me, that was the foundation of what we are discussing in many ways. Reconciling the mind, body, and the spirit. Because all three of those things are actually one thing. And doesn't matter which one of those areas you choose to focus or work on, even though it's important to prioritize those three areas separately, especially if those are your weak points or your challenging points. But recognizing that by focusing in on just the one thing, you miss out on the openness to be and receive everything that you need by tapping into a higher consciousness. So let's demystify this a little bit before you guys think that this is maybe above my fireplace. Dr. Tesla, said that it would be better for science to start to describe everything as energy and frequency and in terms of light, especially in this term, frequency. In the most foundational way, it means everything is always moving. Nothing is standing still. Everything is vibrating at a specific frequency that we can measure. And when you stop and just listen and just become aware, it means you're expanding your consciousness to be able to actually perceive all of these different signals, sources of information that is out there. And now to personalize this, each one of you listening has a unique spiritual gift. Each one of you can tap into any spiritual gift, but some of them will take potentially a lot of work, and that could stress and burn you out. It's not necessarily your calling. You can choose to pursue it if you'd like to. But there are certain spiritual gifts that are unique to your calling and purpose that you are perfectly aligned for. It's a saying that by one of the Greek philosophers, the unstudied life is not worth living. So when each one of you takes time aside to sit down, in any given stage of my life, I have at least one journal close by. I have about 4. This is just one of them. I'd encourage you to put time aside to start to write about the spiritual experiences you've had in your life. And if you have had none, that is your perception, and I trust that will change. I also know that when you stop and start to think about your life, you will start to recognize spiritual experiences, because they can also be outside of your body, in terms of things that you see transpiring that are in essence supernatural opportunities, even great sources of tragedy, things seemingly that go wrong, that steer lives on a path. It's all about choices. Just to sketch this out, I consult I've consulted thousands of patients over the 12 years I've been in practice, including overseas when I worked in the luxury wellness industry. And there's no human being that is not shaped by negative and traumatic experiences. And all of it is a choice. The one person chooses to say, because my dad hit me as a child, I'm an angry, bitter human being. The other person says, because my father hit me, I'm going to be a loving, caring parent and teach my children and teach my family and teach my friends how anger can be used for good as a force of strength and energy to propel me into my life's path and mission. Not to be a pushover, because some people are like, oh, I'm never going to be angry like my father. We all need to face our past. Some people say facing our demons, other people say facing our dragons. Those things need to be reconciled and become a part of you to inspire you. But those two different stories, same story, different choices. That is what I mean. It's a personal responsibility. And this is a saying that's always true. I trust and I believe is a law of the universe that will always remain true. And that is that hurt people hurt people. But as I've learned from my life coach, and this is written about in many other books, to flip the script is a very powerful mindset or mental tool, which means with that saying, it also means healed people heal people. So I think the greatest honor that we have as delving into this topic of mind, body, and spirit is to reconcile our different selves. How to do so? Let's think about this. Talking about the body, most people focus on what they don't like about their body, what is not beautiful, what's not accepted. Coming from trauma, what you heard, you grew up with, you were bullied, or said you were ugly, or said you were fat, or any whatever not nonsense things that are said in the world. None of those things are true. The only things that are true are the things that you believe, in essence, take on for yourself. And the body always changes. In fact, the body is always changing. In terms of frequency, in terms of vibration, the body is always moving. It's always moving. Which direction do you want to move it? Now, if you think about the body moving, that's also where movement as medicine comes in, vis-a-vis exercise. Movement is one of the most powerful ways of shifting the consciousness. So now we're thinking about, like, yes, loving ourselves, healing from the trauma that we've had about body image. Then we move our bodies, physically moving our bodies. Whatever form of movement that you like. Exercise, dancing, swimming, climbing mountains, walking in the forest, whatever floats your boat, whatever you enjoy doing. And that shifts your mindset. And also, you are moving into a different environment. The saying is, a change is as good as a holiday. And one of the most powerful things is that your environment influences you much more than you think. So by moving outside of your current environment, especially into a natural, beautiful area, becoming inspired by nature, being filled with awe, how beautiful the sunset is. The sun has just set for me now behind this camera. I've started to prioritize time to see the sunrise and see the sunset. I sacrificed the sunset for this video recording gladly for you. But I can still see the entire landscape as it's becoming darker. And when you are going into the forest and into the mountainsides or going to a river, go to places that inspire, fill you with awe. Because then your mind is being filled with thoughts of beauty. Also being inspired by complexity. But the complexity is actually so complex that it's simple, giving a clue and insight into a higher mind, a higher intelligence at work in the natural way of things that are always growing, always expanding. I'm not going to get sidetracked about what humans are doing to the natural world today. And then we're talking about spirit. In that entire process, you are becoming more and more aware of things that cannot be perceived. We have five senses, but then we do have senses outside of them. Yes, there's, I don't want to mention that title because that's associated with a quite negative, scary movie. But we do have senses outside of our five senses. And like I mentioned, each one of you has a unique gift or ability to sense things that other people cannot. You know that you've had experiences potentially like the following, and I'll mention a couple. You know by just the way a sparkle in someone's eye that their consciousness is shifting to a specific emotion, like anger or hatred or love or enjoyment, caring. You can see it as a sparkle in someone's eye. That light that you're seeing, it's actually there, it can be measured. The type of light the body's emitting, the type of light the eyes emit when you're feeling a specific emotion. But those are scientific things that are proven, yes. But what I'm talking about is you can just sense it and you can see it. Those are your other senses. One example of many. So I think that is a good point to start wrapping this up. Let's make it practical. Start writing down all the questions that you have about the mind, body, and spirit. And start asking the questions about where have I found a still point? Some people call it, other mentors of mine call it the choice point. The moments in your life where you're completely clear, completely present, completely at peace, where the outside world and the inside world became one, as to speak in a specific teacher's words, which I won't mention in honor of him, and maybe not everyone respects him. And in those moments, you start awakening more and more to the altered states of consciousness and awareness, where the mind, body, and spirit, in essence, become one thing. Thank you for listening. I trust that this inspires you. Subscribe to this channel to be able to support me and to share more content like this. Share this with everyone that you know. Blessings and peace, and looking forward to the next video.